All right. Complacency. I've seen this a couple of times in the sober living where guys will reach a certain level of financial freedom or success, something that makes them feel comfortable, gets them ahead of the game a little bit, and this entirely new mindset takes over, which is common with all of us. There's a drive and a burning desire to get out of a desperate situation that we certainly don't have once we're ahead of the game. So you become a little bit complacent, let our guard down. There's even an attitude I've seen take over that becomes this very cocky, arrogant type of a persona, and it explodes in their face every time. And here's what I think prevents that or gets you through that, gets us through that. You have to set your standards higher. So if you live in a state of selfishness and self-centeredness, which ultimately is the cause of our problems, at the end of the day, if we're an addict, if we're suffering, if we're unbalanced in our life, there is selfishness at the core because we are acting in a way that's destructive, that not only will end up hurting us, but it hurts others. So that's very short-sighted, very selfish. So what is the last step of the 12 steps? Service. It's giving back. And I've always wondered, why do business owners who already have millions of dollars in the bank, why do they continue to grow? Where does this drive come from with them where they want to continue growing their company and all the risks that come with that and reinvesting their money into something that may not pay off? Like I've never understood where that comes from. And the older I get, I kind of see it. We have to continue to progress. And that's why you see a lot of people retire and then they go back to work somehow or they start a business. There's this inherent desire as a human to reach our potential and progress. A tree grows until it can't grow anymore genetically or through its resources. So it grows as big as it can. And I think that that's what we are designed to do. So if you're not thinking or raising your standards to a level that includes other people, we have a tendency to feel like we've arrived in this certain area and we kind of start skating, start kind of gliding. And I subscribe to a theory that I've heard from other business people and like-minded individuals who say there's an upward spiral and a downward spiral. Same thing in sports. I've heard this with sports teams where you don't necessarily glide. If you start gliding, that's going to be a downward trend, not level. So we're progressing or we're declining. We're getting better or worse. And there's been a very specific incident very recently, and I'm try to keep it as anonymous as possible, but that there's been an extreme amount of negligence and complacency in that I've witnessed, and it's negatively affected the entirety of the sober living. But this can happen with anybody, with you as the head of the household, with your friends. With once we stop progressing and don't start thinking about and have that burning desire, we don't have that. Let me finish that sentence. We don't. Once we stop thinking about the next level because we haven't thought about the next level. That's why goals are so important. Have a goal, have a vision. What are you working towards? Because then once you reach one, you've already thought that through. Like, oh, cool. I figured I'd be here. I can't believe I got here. This is great. I've got this amount of money in the bank. I've got, these things are accomplished. I've acquired these things. I have this state of mind. Like, cool. But now you've seen through it. You don't stay there and reside there and then start moving backwards. You go to the next level. You take it to the next thing. Why? You have a burning desire to reach your potential, to grow, to help other people. I mean, that is the focus that we have to thrive on, or there's a tendency to fall right back into old behaviors. And especially if you're an addict or have, any type we all have a certain illness to a certain extent, I believe. As a human, we all have different flavors of mental and emotional ailments and illnesses. But certainly if you're an acknowledged addict, and you're going through the steps, you've been through the steps, or you're suffering and acknowledge that somehow, we will go backwards into a very, very destructive, bad place very quickly. So you have to be diligent about it. All right? Get that goal sheet done. If you're in the sober living, you've got a goal sheet. We go all the way out to 10 years, 20 years from now. We write out our eulogy. We write out our daily goals. If you're not in a Simplify Sober Living, I'd strongly suggest you put it on paper. Short-term goals, long-term goals, just write it out. And then once you reach one of those goals, you can push past it and continue to get what you sat down, thought about, and deemed as an area in your life, a space that makes you happy, accomplishments that make you happy. You've already played that through, and it'll help get you through a little stagnant area in your life. Complacency is very dangerous. I think it's okay to have balance, to work smart, to be effective in a way that doesn't require you to work all the time and burn yourself out. Those things are very important. That's different. Balance is very important. Complacency, ignoring things that we know we should be doing for an elongated period of time, knowing that it's causing destruction and damaging us, and not taking that into consideration and just ignoring it like it's not there, that's destructive. It's going to turn on you. That's part of our disease, and that has to be addressed and smashed. All right? Thanks.